Every summer, millions of dollars are given away in free agency after a Stanley Cup champion is crowned and teams start thinking about the following season. Teams either sign their star players to contract extensions or look for new players to bolster their roster, with money being just one of many incentives to entice a free agent to sign with them. In this video, we'll talk about the highest paid players in the 2022 NHL season. First up, number 10, Tyler Seguin. Tyler has an AAV of $9.85 million. He signed an 8-year, $78.8 million contract in the summer of 2018, and he's one of the two highest paid stars. His most recent season was his 5th straight with at least 70 points. Seguin hasn't hit that plateau in the 3 years since the agreement took effect. Although he is now 30 and has experienced some injuries, he's still under contract for 5 more years. The Boston Bruins selected Seguin with the 2nd overall pick in the 2010 National Hockey League draft, and he played for them from 2010 to 2013, after which he moved on to the Dallas Stars and was made an alternate captain. 2011 was his first season, and he captured the Stanley Cup in the same year. Additionally, he has competed for Canada internationally and earned gold medals at the 2009 World U17 Hockey Challenge. Following up on number 9, Anze Kopitar. Kopitar reaped the rewards of an 8-year contract after assisting the Kings to 2 Stanley Cup victories. He signed a contract extension worth $80 million in 2016 and earns about $10 million per year. Since then, the organization has faced some challenging years, but Los Angeles' top two-way center has remained a reliable force in the middle. The contract of the Kings captain has 2 more years to run. He is one of the most skilled and seasoned ice hockey players in the NHL. The Los Angeles Kings, a hockey team based in California, is led by Captain Anze Kopitar. One of the most decorated centers in the history of the sport is the 34-year-old hockey pro. Moving on, we have a tie. Number 8, Jack Eichel. Just like Kopitar, Jack also has a net worth of $10 million. When Eichel agreed to an 8-year, $80 million contract with the Sabres in 2017, they were securing their future star, or so they believed. When he was traded to the Golden Knights last fall, the two sides decided to part ways after some conflict with the organization. The Golden Knights are hoping that Eichel can become the elite center the Sabres had hoped for. When they gave him their sizable deal at the age of 20, Eichel has demonstrated that he can be one of the brightest young stars in the game when healthy. On number 8, we have Carey Price. If you're a fan of the Habs, reading this excerpt will be terrifying. At $10.5 million, Price has the highest AAV among goalies. For someone who isn't anticipated to play for at least another year and possibly longer, that is a significant amount of money. Just 2 seasons after winning the Hart Award as the league's MVP, a rare accomplishment for a goalie, he and the Canadiens reached an 8-year, $84 million extension in the summer of 2017. Price, who was 30 when he signed the contract, and as some had predicted, he won't be renewing his contract. He missed the majority of his season as he recovered from knee injury, and it is unclear how he will fare moving forward. Number 8, tie, Patrick Kane. Kane's $10.5 million cap hit is one of the biggest ones that might be in flux. His enormous 8-year, $84 million contract, which he signed back in 2014, still has 1 year to run. It's unlikely that Kane wants to stick around for that, with the Blackhawks going through a rebuild and likely competing for the worst record in the league next season. He averaged more than 92 points per game in his most recent season, which was his 4th. Next up we have number 7, Mitchell Marner. Mitchell earns about $10.9 million a year in salary. 3 Maple Leafs appear among the top 10 earners, including Mitch Marner. On September 13, 2019, he agreed to a 6-year, $65.408 million contract. The tiny forward finished last season as the 10th leading scorer in the NHL with 97 points in 72 games. By 3 points, he outscored his previous career high set in 2018-19. Marner's contract will expire in 2025 when he will be 28 years old, giving him enough time to sign a contract again and maybe boost his position up on the AAV chart. Marner has proven to be worth the big investment, scoring more than 1 point per game in each of the following 3 seasons. In 427 games throughout his career, he has 455 points. Following up on number 6 is Drew Doughty. Similar to Karlsson, Doughty was coming off a career year with 60 points when he signed his large contract, 8 years, years for $88 million, with the Kings with an annual salary of $11 million. He hasn't even come close to finishing a season with this kind of production since, which is unfortunate for the Kings. He only played in 39 games this season due to a right knee injury and subsequent wrist injury, scoring less than 1 point per game. With 5 more years left on his contract, he is 32 years old. The 32-year-old will be back for the upcoming season despite missing more than half of the 2021-24 regular season and playoffs due to injury. Doughty's enormous 2018 contract extension was in large part due to his leadership of the Kings to the Stanley Cup in 2012 and 2014. Not to mention number 5, John Tavares. On July 1st, 2018, Tavares signed a 7-year, $77 million contract with the Maple Leafs. When the 32-year-old's contract expires, he will be 35. Auston Matthews, Marner, and Tavares make up 41% of Toronto's annual salary cap. The year before the Panarin trade, the Islanders once again missed out on a top free agent, this time Tavares. The captain made the decision to commit to his hometown Maple Leafs for a 7-year, $77 million deal. He established a new career high in goals, 47, and points in his first season in Toronto, 88. Since joining, Tavares has served as the team's go-to second-line center, scoring 274 points in 280 games. Up next, number 4, Erik Karlsson. With an AAV of $11.5 million, Karlsson signed an 8-year, $92 million contract with the Sharks. He was one of the league's top offensive defensemen at the time. Karlsson has struggled with injuries and underwhelming ice time during his time in San Jose, and over the past 2 seasons, he's failed to reach the 40-point plateau. Erik Karlsson, who was traded from Ottawa to San Jose in September 2018, was thought to be the last piece needed to help the Sharks win their first Stanley Cup. Sadly, things haven't worked out that way. The contract of the 32-year-old won't run out until the conclusion of the 2027 campaign. On number 3, we have Auston Matthews. Matthews is one of only a few Maple Leaf players on this list, but he has already proven to be well worth the money. In February 2019, Toronto agreed to a 5-year extension with Matthews, carrying an AAV of roughly $11.64 million. He recently won the league's most goals, earning his 2nd consecutive Rocket Richard Trophy. Matthews was only the 3rd player in the salary cap era to reach 60 goals when he achieved this feat this past season. On February 5th, 2019, the Leafs and the current Hart Trophy winner agreed to a 5-year, $58.195 million contract. He still has 1.5 seasons left on his current contract, but it's almost certain that he'll agree to a new one, and that may boost up his position on the highest player list. Moving on to number 2, Artemi Panarin. Artemi plays for the New York Rangers. He chose to sign a 7-year, $81.5 million contract with the Rangers after being named the belle of the ball during free agency in 2019. There were rumors that the Islanders would have offered him a higher salary if he'd chosen them rather than their rivals. Panarin has amassed 249 points in 186 games over 3 seasons since joining New York. The Breadman makes $11.642 million a year. Last season, Panarin scored 96 points, one more than his previous high, which he had set in 2019-2020. Finally, at number 1, we have Connor McDavid. It shouldn't be shocking that the NHL's top earner is also the best player of all time. The Oilers offered McDavid an 8-year, $100 million contract after he took home his first Art Ross, Hart, and Ted Lindsay Awards in 2016-17. Since then, he's acquired a Hart Trophy, 2 Ted Lindsay Awards, and 3 more Art Ross trophies. He recently had 2 seasons with 100 points or more. If there's anyone who deserves an annual salary of a whopping $12.5 million, it's McDavid. The star hockey player for the Oilers is the best in the world. It won't be long before he finds a way to lead Edmonton to a Stanley Cup victory due to his unquestionable dominance. That's a wrap for this video. Which player do you think is worth every penny they earn, and who isn't? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for videos like this. See you at the next one.